We hear it all the time. These index universal life insurance illustrations, they're garbage. They're too good to be true. They're never going to work the way that they say they're going to work. Sometimes that's true, and a lot of times that's not true. But last week, had somebody come to us to do a policy review, and they sent us an illustration. And I looked at it and I said, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. And so I thought I'd share it with you guys because it's important to understand the difference between something that really is too good to be true and something that maybe just looks good and you just need further explanation on how it's working so that you can know how it's getting the numbers that it's getting. So today we're gonna talk about one of those illustrations that's just way too good to be true. And I'll share my screen here and we'll go through this together. It should be fun. Before we also get started on this, I just want to make sure that you all know that this has nothing to do with the company. This has nothing to do with the specific type of policy or anything like that. I'll explain what it is at the end of the video. It's just a little trick of the illustration software, and it's probably just an oversight on the agent's part. But we'll get to that at the end of the video. First, I just want to show you exactly what I saw. So here it is. This is the illustration that was sent to me. We recreated it just to protect the innocent. Maybe they're guilty, I don't know, but we recreated it. But this was the structure of the policy. $20,000 in premium was being paid for these first several years. After the 10th policy year, there were no more premiums that were being paid into the contract. So $200,000 in total premiums being paid into the policy for the first 10 policy years. So far, so good. What's interesting though is starting in the second year, they started taking loans of $22,565. So this is almost like a self-financed policy. You pay a $20,000 premium every single year, but you're actually financing that premium from year 2 on, right? You take a $22,000 loan and then you pay it in as premium. $22,000 loan, you pay in 20 as premium. And so really money's just kind of circulating here. Otherwise, why would you do this, right? This structure wouldn't make sense. So this is basically a self-financed policy, $20,000 in one time, and then $22,000 in loans that's going to finance the next 9 premium payments. So all in these first 10 policy years, the client in this particular case is actually only out the first $20,000 payment. Everything else is just kind of a looping of dollars, right? Money starts on the loan side and then it moves over to the premium side. So the net outlay here is only $20,000 in the first 10 policy years. But this is where it gets, so nothing's really crazy there, but this is where it starts to get crazy. Check this out. In year 20, there is a $247,000 loan coming out to the client. So we paid in one $20,000 premium. Everything else, the additional $180 in premium was financed. It was a loan from the policy and paid back in. And then 20 years down the road, we're able to take $247,000 out of the policy. That right there should set off some alarm bells because only $20,000 of the client's money was put in. So 20,000 turns into 247. I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? That's pretty crazy in 20 years. But it doesn't stop there because starting in year 23, we start taking an additional $56,000 out of this policy, $56,000 a year. We haven't put in any more premium, and that $56,000 a year, it lasts essentially for life. Like what's happening here all the way out to age 85. So there's $200,000 in total premium in this contract. Of the $200,000 in total premium, only $20,000 actually came from the client. The other $180,000 came from internal policy loans right here. 22 becomes 20. So there's only a net outlay of $20,000 so far in this policy. At least that's the way that it looks. That's the way that it looks. That's the way that it looks. And that's what the client thought they were getting. And they sent it to me and they said, Matt, this just looks too good to be true. And I took one look at it and I said, well, over 50 years, you put in $20,000, not $200. You put in $20,000 and you took out $2 million. Yeah, that's too good to be true. There's more to this story. And I'd like to show you exactly what that is. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is this net outlay column, because this net outlay column is really going to tell us what exactly is going on. And so it's pretty simple. In year one, you pay a $20,000 premium and the net outlay is $20,000. So what can we learn from this? Well, a positive net outlay means it cost you, right? You pay $20,000 in premium, $20,000 positive in net outlay means a positive number is you paid money in. The next year, we have a $20,000 premium, but a $22,000 loan. Our net outlay is negative $2,500. Okay, so a negative number means you took out more than you put in, which essentially means you didn't actually pay anything in that year. You took money out. Okay, so a negative number means you took money out. So year one, $20,000 net outlay, pretty simple. Year two, paid in 20, took out 22. So our net is actually negative $2,500. That makes some sense. Year three, $20,000 and $22,565. The net outlay should be the same, but it's not. The net outlay is lower, negative 19. Okay. We get to the point here where we're in year five. It's the same $20,000 in, $22,565 out. And now all of a sudden we're paying money again. How is this? $20,000 positive and $20,000 positive. So a positive number means we're paying in more than we took out. Our premium structure is identical for all these 4 years, and yet our net outlay is changing. Okay, so that tells us that something else is going on. But let's continue. So it seems pretty clear here that this is somehow costing us money for all these years, years 5 through 10, even though the money that's going into the contract is coming from the loan. Somehow it's costing us more than that. We'll get to that in a second. We keep going. We have no premium paid, but we do have a loan, which means we made $13,000 in this year. A negative number means we made money. But then all premium and all loans stop. And again, we have this net outlay here. I don't see any premium. I don't see any loans. And yet I'm paying in $9,800. I don't see that. Where's it coming from? We got this net outlay of $9,800, but I don't see it as premium. And this is why these ledgers can get really confusing. And you really have to work with someone who knows what they're doing and knows how to read these. Because if you just looked at you're probably not looking at the net outlay column. Honestly, you're probably not. I mean, this attachment is 56 pages. Are you honestly digesting every single column on here? Some people do. We work with some engineers that really do digest like every single column. A lot of people don't know where to look. You know, you're looking at the premium outlay and you're saying, I'm not paying a premium. And that's what this client was told. No, you're not paying any more premiums. And yet somehow you're paying something. You're paying something in all these years. You're paying $10,000 a year. Well, let me show you what's going on. My goodness. These things are so big. In order to know what's going on in this particular contract, we have to go all the way down to this net annual outlay tax report. This net annual outlay tax report. We're like 50 pages into this document before we can actually know what's going on. So here's our net outlay. This column here is going to match what we saw on that first ledger. But this is actually giving us the detail of how this column is generated. So all we were seeing was this one column and all the most important information was missing. So again, here's our premium, $20,000 in premium. Here's our loans, $22,500 in loans. And then we have that huge, like massive $247 coming out of nowhere. So there's our loan column. What's actually going on here is they are repaying the loan interest every single year. And that is coming in the form of cash from the client. The client did not know this. The client did not know that in order for this policy to work the way that it looks like it should work, they're having to service the interest payment every single year. Now, that may not seem like a big deal at first. That may seem normal to you because, you know, when you get a loan, you're used to servicing that loan. But in these index life policies, this is an unstructured loan. There's no like formal payback schedule. You know, you can, and in most cases you will, float the loan interest and you will let the death benefit pay back the loan plus the interest. That's not what's happening here. And it gets really, really crazy because you may say, well, yeah, but I took out 247,000. I only put in 20 grand. I took out 247, and then I'm taking out $56,000 a year, tax-free for life. Like, this still actually looks pretty good. And I would say you better add up the numbers, because you didn't just pay $20,000. You're now servicing all this interest every single year. If you don't service this interest, it's not going to work this way. So you're paying interest every single year, and the interest balloons to the point where when you're in your mid-70s, and really it happens right around 74. At age 74, your $56,000 loan that you're taking out is costing you $57,000 that year in loan repayments. So at 74 years old, this policy is now costing you money again, to the point where if you live to 85, at 85, it's costing you $18,000 to keep this policy. At 88, it's costing you $73,000 to keep this policy. This is crazy. Like, you're not actually getting the $56,000 in loans anymore. After age 74, those $56,000 loans are completely swallowed up by the out-of-pocket loan repayment that is required to be made in order to keep this policy intact. What's really crazy about this particular policy is most life insurance policies, the sweet spots are on the ends. If you buy a policy with one monthly premium and die right away, like, that's your highest internal rate of return. Hopefully that never happens to any one of you, okay? But if you're looking at the policy, the internal rate of return would be the highest if you pay one monthly premium and die, or you live to like 120 years old. Where you win is on the ends. Where you lose is kind of like in the middle. That's how life insurance works. This policy, the longer you live, the worse it gets for you, because the longer you live, the more you're forced to pay up into this loan repayment, and the more it eats away at your $56,000 loan. If you live really long, a pretty high likelihood that you actually end up paying more into this particular policy. I mean, we're talking almost a $20,000 difference here at age 85 between the loan and what you paid in. Those loans stop, and you're paying $75,000 a year into this policy out of pocket. $75,000 a year, 3 years, and your $247,000 in year 10 is totally washed away. The longer you live in this contract, the worse it gets. Now, in order for you to know that, you have to know that you need to look and read through this net annual outlay tax report on page 52 of 56. If you're just looking at the ledger, like our client was, if you're just looking at the ledger, you think that this thing is untouchable. You think that you're paying a $20,000 premium one time, several years down the road, 20 that is, you're getting out $247,000, and then you're turning on a $56,000 income stream for life. Like, yeah, that's too good to be true. Okay, so how did it happen? Well, the reason that it happened is probably a mistake by the agent's part. I can't imagine that they were willfully kind of deceiving how the policy works, but probably a mistake on the agent's part. And you can see the mistake on this kind of like input, on this input summary page. And whenever you see loans and it says paid in cash, I have to find it, but it'll be on here somewhere. Yep, here it is. Income type, borrow, loan interest payment method, cash. If you ever see cash in that column, you know that, okay, you're servicing the interest every single year on the loans that you're taking. And if that's not fully disclosed, you're probably working with someone that either fat fingered a button or they just have no idea how these particular policies work. So again, this has nothing to do with the company. This has nothing to do necessarily with the agent that sold in this policy. This could just be a mistake. But I just want you to know that there are policies out there that are absolutely too good to be true. And when you do a little deep diving, you can find out why, but not all of them are this way. So if you are considering an index universal life insurance policy for you and your portfolio, I would encourage you to reach out to us. This is our area of expertise. We do this really well, and we are solely 100% dedicated on making sure that you know how they work, that you're educated on the products, you know where they win and you know where they lose, you know what they can do and you know what they cannot do. And there's a lot of things that they can't do. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a panacea, right? If you have problems, I don't know that this is a solution to very many problems, but it can absolutely be a great addition to an already strong portfolio. So if that's you, if you're considering one of these policies, or if you're unhappy with the advice that you're getting, it's not clear, it's not concise, these policies are being made more difficult to understand, then I would absolutely encourage you to reach out to our team, book a discovery call with us. It's 15 minutes. We'll answer your questions and figure out if we can help you out. And our goal being to educate you on how these things work and then really give you kind of the power to make a decision with your own money. So that's our promise to you. You can book a meeting with us at leveragedwm.com. You'll see it up at the top of the screen. But if you have a policy that you'd like for us to review because you just don't know how it works, you're not sure if you're getting good advice, send it to us. We'd be happy to review it and make sure that you know exactly how they do work. Until next time, take care.